Just a few weeks ago, the finale of Agatha aired, the ending of an 8-episode story of a Marvel character taking on the Witch's Road, which did better than most people expected. Then the very next week, the finale dropped of one of, if not the best comic book movie shows of all time, The Penguin. This show was a cinematic masterpiece that made its main character not an anti-hero, but a cold-blooded villain. Obviously, my quick recap of both shows clearly demonstrates which of them I prefer, but I'm not interested in the question which was better, but more of why it was better, since these two shows have a lot of similarities to each other. Think about it. Both of them have 8 episodes where they follow a comic book villain who develops a friendship with a young guy who ultimately pays off. Both also depend more on their wit than their actual physical power, which causes others to mistrust them constantly. There's more similarities than this, but that's the main gist. With all these common shares, you would think they would have around the same quality, but no. In this video, I'm going to break down why I think personally The Penguin is better than Agatha All Along. Number 5, The Want. Like the section's name, I'm gonna really talk about the want for each of these shows. I vaguely remember Agatha being announced a little after WandaVision and thinking, why? She was cool in WandaVision, I guess, but there are other things I wanted Marvel to do. WandaVision was the first time I even heard of the character, so I wasn't exactly in need for a show for her. The Penguin is pretty much the exact opposite. He is the second most iconic Batman villain, but he's commonly misrepresented in shows and films. The majority of the time they make him this goofy joke of a villain. When I was younger, before I saw The Dark Knight, my favorite villain was Penguin. And having a show that could flesh this character out and make him real is absolutely insane. So yeah, The Penguin easily takes the dub here, since no one really wanted an Agatha show, but anything to do with a grounded penguin has been long overdue. However, the want for a show is just the first factor, as there are many high-quality shows like Andor, which no one really wanted, but ended up spectacular. Let's move on to our second point, the plot. Earlier, I briefly talked about how they had a bunch of similarities, but their plots are pretty different. Agatha wants to regain her power by utilizing the Witch's Road, where Oz wants to take over the underground in Gotham and become the kingpin of the city. And this depends more on what type of person you are, but I do think the Penguin is better at this. I say this because it lines up more with what would be expected. Like, Agatha is very witchy, which lines up with their character, but it's quite jarring from everything else Marvel, even WandaVision. The Penguin, however, feels like a show planted in the Batverse, under Gotham, and it's so much easier to get into because of that. I understand Agatha had a tight budget, but their plot was pretty basic, like you could kind of see where a lot of things were going. The Penguin, though, would completely shatter your expectations every single episode. So yeah, I think this category really depends on the person, so tell me what you think in the comments down below, and let's continue. Number 3, the characters. Now, I can't really compare characters to each other, since different characters, well, will be different, but there are certain qualities I can judge. Like, firstly, the Penguin is an actual villain compared to Agatha. Like, I know Agatha did bad things and whatnot, but I hate Oz by the end of the show, because he became straight up despicable. In Agatha, and pretty much all the Sony films, they make the villain an anti-hero who we can understand. Oz this is not having for. We root for him and to a certain extent understand him, but his flaws as a person come out truly in the finale, where we have to accept this guy as a menace who needs to get full-on assaulted by Batsy. As for the other characters, I think Vic is better than Billy since we feel more about him and want him to succeed. Sophia is better than Lady Death since she has so much more character, in my opinion. It also feels like the characters in The Penguin determine where the story goes, whereas in Agatha, it feels like they just got dropped into a story. Characters are one of the main parts of a good story, and I feel like The Penguin handles them much better. Now we can move on to our next part. Number 2, the quality. If you're confused what I mean now, I'm talking about cinematography, acting, directing, pretty much anything you could win an award for. Okay, I don't need to sugarcoat it. Everyone watching this video is aware that Penguin easily takes the dub here. Cinematography is miles better than Agatha, mainly because of Matt Reeves, and don't even get me started on acting. Just kidding, I'm totally gonna get started on the acting. Colin Farrell as the Penguin should be spoken in the same breath as Heath Ledger playing the Joker. I'm not saying he was better than Heath, but the performance he gave as Oz deserves all the Emmys he can get his hands on. Vic, Oz's mom, and Sophia especially turned in masterful performances, perfectly fulfilling what was required from them. Agatha was okay, I guess. Like, it was good for what they wanted, it was just nothing special, and I'm fine with Agatha's cast just being good. But when we compare it to the stacked team that the Penguin had, it immediately crumbles. For things like directing, Penguin takes it, but Agatha does have better practical and visual effects, mainly because it tried more things, but I still gotta give credit where credit is due. This was probably one of the easier categories for the Penguin to excel in, but a win is a win.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Number 1, impact. Now when I say impact, I don't actually mean its impact on like the Reld, but its impact on the franchise. For Agatha, I honestly don't really know how it relates to everything else. The show ends with her embracing her comic book form and her and Billy going on a journey. I'm not exactly thrilled to see the journey continue. Like, it's something they could do if they really wanted, but it seems like the effects of it were so minor. The Penguin, however, I can't wait to see, whether it be in season 2 where he tries to become mayor, or the Batman part 2, who knows what shenanigans he could get up to. The Penguin will definitely have a major role somewhere down the line, and to be perfectly honest, I would rather have him be the main antagonist of the Batman part 3 than Joker. Imagine Batman in a full-on corrupt city, where the mayor's Penguin and there's a court of owls. Oh my goodness. Bubba Talks would have a stroke. Anyways, that's mostly my thoughts on comparing the two shows. I know it probably felt like I was just glazing the Penguin the entire time, but I do genuinely think it was like a better show. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later. Bye.